Ms. Keesa, please call the roll.
Alexander, Banks, Blasco, Chambers.
Here.
Deets. Here. Foster.
Here.
Phillips.
Here.
White.
Here.
Chairman Clifton.
Here. Thank you, everyone, for attending today. Please turn off your cell phones if you have them on. The Planning Commission procedures are on the back of the agenda if you do have one. And commissioners, please speak into the microphone when we speak today. And we have a memorandum from the Planning Commission on the two items that we worked on last month. One was postponed and the other one was approved. With that, you have been administrative, Mr. Spencer, do you have anything? Okay, well, you have been submitted a copy of the minutes from our previous meetings. Are there any additions or corrections?
Move for approval.
Motion made and seconded that be approved as submitted. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll move right into our Development Review Committee. Mr. Don Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee met and considered item SD 2017-29 Ritter Subdivision, Lot 1R Site Plan Review and Replat of a Communications Lot located at 12200 Barton Road. The applicant was present and agreed to items 1 through 12 in subsections, and with that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded that this application be approved as submitted. Are there any is there anyone in the audience that'd like to speak on this application? Any comments from the commissioners? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item B is SD 2017-30 Royal Business Park, lots 1 through 15. Preliminary plat of industrial lots located at the southeast corner of Highway 70 and Highway 440. The applicant was present and agreed to items 1 through 12 and subsections, and with that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that this item be approved as submitted. Any comments from anyone in the audience? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item C is SD 2017-31 West WNLR Commercial Edition, Lot 1, Preliminary Plat and Site Plan Review of a Popeyes restaurant located at 12201 Mall Mill Boulevard. The applicant was present and agreed to items 1 through 12 and subsections, and with that, Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. This item be approved as submitted. Any comments from anyone in the audience? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item D is SD 2017-32 R.W. Scott Industrial Edition, Lot A, Site Plan Review of a Storage Building located at 8007 Counts Massey Road. The applicant was present and agreed to items 1 through 10 and subsections, and with that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that this item be approved as submitted. Any comments from anyone in the audience? Any comments from any of the commissioners? On the application, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item E is SD 2017-33 George Heilman Subdivision, Lot 5B, Site Plan Review for office warehouses located at the southwest corner of Hillard and Crystal Hill Roads. The applicant was present and agreed to items 1 through 10 and subsections, and items 1 through 10 and subsections, and with that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that this item be approved as submitted. Anyone in the audience, any comments on this application? Any comments from the commissioners? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Item F is SD 2017-34 Cock of the Walk Subdivision, lots 3A and 3B, replat of 2 commercial lots located at 7324 and 7322 Cock of the Walk Lane. The applicant was present and agreed to items 1 through 10 and subsections. With that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that this item be approved as submitted. Anyone in the audience like to speak on this application? Any comments from the commissioners? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Item G is SD 2015-5, Richards Commercial Development, lots 1 through 15. This is a one-time, one-year extension of a preliminary plat for commercial lots.
Motion made and seconded that this application be extended and seconded. Anyone in the audience, any comments on this? Comments from the commissioners? All in favor of the extension? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
That concludes the Development Review Committee report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. We'll move right into our public hearing. First item is special use case number 2017-9 to allow a second residence in an R2 zone located at 206 East G Avenue in North Little Rock. Is the applicant here? Yes. Okay. Please come up and give us your name for the record, please.
Charlie Porter.
Brandon Finch.
Okay, briefly tell us, Mr. Porter, what you'd like to do.
We recently purchased the house at 206 East G Street and have been doing some updates and remodeling to the house in the front. There's a detached dwelling. I guess it was an old carport or garage that was converted to a living space years ago. It was our understanding that at one point in time that space was actually grandfathered in, I guess, as a second residence, and we're just looking to have it reinstated. I don't know where we got this, but we understood that the reason that it fell out of the grandfathering is because a power supply was pulled from the house and it was no longer inhabited, and so we were just looking to reinstate it.
What's the square footage of that building?
Approximately 450, 500 square feet.
Okay.
It's like a studio apartment.
It's already outfitted too. It has an air conditioner, kitchen,
Bathroom.
sink, bath, everything. It's basically paint and carpet, is all we were gonna do.
The overhead aerial that we see has a car and a driveway, but the driveway doesn't appear to extend back to the house.
Correct.
How will you access this?
We would probably have the parking for that resident in the front, either off-street, there's an extra parking pad in front of the house, and then they would walk down the driveway to their unit.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Mr. White?
When was it last remodeled?
Wait a minute, we have some questions, please.
When was that last remodeled?
The back part or the...
Back.
Not sure. The HVAC that's back there, I think it was dated like 13 or 14. It's a fairly new combo heating and air unit, one of those Samsung deals that kind of mounts on.
What about when was it remodeled? The house, not the air conditioner, the house.
The interior of that, I'm just using that to guess. That's probably when it had anything done to it or was lived in.
When did you say it was?
We think 13 or 14
Okay.
is the age of the unit.
Mr. Foster?
Sean, let me ask you a question, if you don't mind. I guess they'll have to get a new electric service pulled to the property with a new meter for this separate house. Before they do that, will they have to get city inspectors approve the house for plumbing and electrical and that kind of thing?
Yes, all the work that they'll be doing, the remodel, will have to get a permit and have inspections.
Well, what if they decide just to hook up the permit and give the keys to somebody without remodeling or anything?
The electricity, we won't let them, we won't let them have a second meter.
Okay,
So
so whether they
they
remodel or
have to
not,
apply for a permit.
they have to get it approved by the city? Okay, thank you. Good.
Yeah, and there's actually a box on that second unit for a meter. It just was pulled at some point. There's also a separate, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it appeared that there was about 2 boxes on that property, and the previous owner had pulled it, and it sat empty for more than a year, so it lost its rights to continue as a house.
And we understand this is a special use, so that it was approved or not, that special use goes with the applicant, not with the land.
And we brought that up to them, and this is an investment for them.
Okay.
So they're
I
planning
just want
on
to make sure
holding it.
y'all understood that.
Sure, yeah, we're not intending to sell it this way. It's just, this is an investment for us. We want to fix up the front house. I mean, we're investing in the neighborhood. We're not trying to do anything that would bring values down or a nuisance to the neighborhood or anything like that. The idea would be, the structure's already there. It seems pretty much ready to rent. It does need a few updates, you know, to make it nice enough for somebody to want to be back there. After we have held it that way and had rental income off of it for a few years, we would probably turn it back into a carport or something. We would not likely sell the property with that back house even still being in use. We just kind of looked at it as an opportunity to increase cash flow a bit since it's sitting there.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, Mr. White?
Here's my biggest concern, because we're getting it all over the city of North Little Rock, and Mr. Foster brought it up, is the car parking in the middle of the yard. You know, what assurance do we have that that car is not gonna be in the middle of the yard, whether they're loading or unloading, or brought the groceries in, or the car's for sale? You know, we got one on Randolph right now sitting in the middle of the yard that code enforcement won't do anything about, because they don't
Sure.
have the manpower or the time to do it. But
We would definitely not be okay with tenants parking their cars in the yard anywhere. There is a driveway there that we think the tenant for the house, the front house, would have access to. There's also an off-street pad in front of the property that could either be used by the front house or the resident of the back house. And then aside from that, it would just be street parking. But no, we wouldn't want, 2 or 3 cars parked in the yard or anything like that.
Okay. Mr. Chambers?
Could you ask I notice Mr. Flaster is here, could you ask Mr. Flaster his opinion on this proposal?
Have you looked at that, Chief?
I haven't had a chance to, I don't know where it sits on the property.
Could you take a look at it, please?
There's a survey in the back, last sheet that shows it in
Yeah,
detail.
there's a survey
The
behind
drawing
it,
survey.
that good overhead shot there.
Yeah, it appears to be about 400 square feet.
I got the survey right here if y'all. Okay.
Yeah, that helped.
How would you fight that, Chief?
Like you would any other piece of property down the street.
It is a special use. We could always place a fire marshal's condition on it.
You still have room.
No turnaround, but yeah, you can, it looks like it's looks like 16.7 feet from the
There's a bunch
corner
there's a
to the
bunch of
property line,
residences there that have
but not
outbuilt
necessarily from the
buildings,
edge of the stairs.
How far is it from here? The road, yeah, the curb.
Yeah,
Back
there's a
to
garage
here,
or something like that.
well, it's roughly,
Is this one?
roughly
It's getting
40%
where you can't find a place to live in North Little Rock.
175.
You can't find a place to live in North Little Rock anymore, hardly.
With the hand lines.
All right.
So we'd be okay on that.
All right.
Okay, so we
Thank
don't
you.
need, do we need to put a condition subject to fire marshal's approval?
All special uses have that.
Yeah, they all,
Okay. Okay. It's got the comprehensive on it.
thank you.
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this application? Come to the microphone and give us your name, please.
Doris Atkins,
Paul Loader.
my son.
Okay,
Where do they live?
okay, you have heard their proposal for what they want to use with the back house. Do you have comments on that?
Yes, I do.
Yes, ma'am, please tell us.
I bought my home over 10 years ago.
Where do you live in relation to this property?
202
Directly
East,
next door.
Okay,
East G Avenue.
okay.
My home is, I'm paying for it, it's mine. I have to keep the value there. Would you like to have a second residence in your backyard or next door? I just don't believe it's in the best benefit for that neighborhood. It's a single-family dwelling. And that doesn't seem fair that they can do that and decrease my value of my house, which I believe with my heart it will.
If I can, in the past, that house it's a rental, and every single tenant that has lived there in the past stays there for maybe a month, maybe 2 months if they're really lucky. You mentioned about somebody parking in the yard. There is no yard. It's nothing but dirt, and it hasn't been dirt since long before these men bought it. The people have always parked in the yards. They have always parked in my yard. They have, you mentioned about, does the driveway go all the way to the back of the thing? It does not. In order for them to get to that door of that back little housing thing, they have to go right by our back door, which is about 5-10 feet away from it. It's literally up, it's kind of close up to the fence. And it's not a house at all. It is a tool shed that somebody put a toilet and a sink in. Okay, it's not a house. And I guess if we had had better luck in the past with the people living there, but there's been one problem after the other with the tenants who have lived there and the way the property has degraded, at this very moment it is gutted and there's just garbage and trash like it's a construction site all over the place. I know they're doing work, but that's nothing new. It was like that before. Also, the power lines are literally hanging off the poles, the city poles, across the ground like a hazard, up over the house and then goes off into the other house. Like, it just looks haphazard and nasty. And I guess having an eyesore that's unoccupied is a lot better than having it occupied times 2 with 2 people that we feel we're going to have renter problems with. And that's our concern. We know these guys aren't up to, like, you know, we're not trying to destroy the neighborhood or anything. I just don't think they understand or take into consideration what the neighbors that have lived around this house have had to do with for some time.
Let me ask
This
you,
is our basic argument.
is the front house occupied now?
No, it hasn't been occupied in years.
So the front house and the back house both?
Yes, the man that used to live there before had a crack-addicted daughter and her boyfriend that used to live in the back.
So
Like, I guess
both of
unofficially.
these properties now are abandoned?
For years.
Okay, got you. Do you feel like that if they were brought up to code and standard?
I was
that would
thrilled
be
to see the construction work going. There's people there working every day. You can tell they're ripping out the inside and they're redoing the home, and I was happy to see that, and I was hoping they'd reinvest in it and maybe get a good tenant in there, but not that back part. It's too close to our backyard. It destroys any sense of privacy. It destroys any sense of space. Like, we might as well give up the house and just go get an apartment.
Okay. Any comments from any commissioners?
I call for question.
Question's been called. On the application, thank you. On the application, please call the roll.
Blasco.
Yes.
Chambers.
No.
Dietz. Foster.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
White.
No.
Chairman Clifton.
Yes. Takes 5 for your application to pass. It did not pass. You do have the option to go before the city council, and we would send up a recommendation from the planning commission that it did not pass, but they do have the authority to go ahead and grant the rezone on their own. So you can talk with Mr. Spencer at business day tomorrow, and he can explain that procedure to you. Yes, sir.
In the event that happens, would we be notified in some way, or is this our only chance to oppose?
If they make an application before the city council, there won't be any more further notifications to them except the public.
With a negative recommendation, they have to do notice again.
Okay. All right, yes, you will be notified again if they come before the city council. Okay. All right, thank you. The other item has been postponed, 2017-8, to rezone property southeast corner of Highway 70 and 440 to C3 and C4 to I2 has been postponed. So any other comments from anyone on that? Next item on the agenda is our personal or public comment. Anyone? First public comments, Ms. Belasco.
I apologize for being so late. I know folks in the audience do apologize.
Thank you.
I work for a title company. You guys kind of know, it's just nuts.
Thank you, Ms. Belasco.
Sorry.
Sean, tell me the rules on RVs again. RVs, recreational vehicles.
Zoning rules, and I think code has a set of rules also.
But are they same, are they,
Different rule, they cover different parts. But let me look real quick here.
I had someone call me, and we're getting RVs everywhere, and they're parking them and putting tarps up, and they look like little shanty towns, just parked. Some people are living in them, some people aren't, and I'm just curious.
I don't think you can live in them.
Well, I know you can't live in them, but people still run electricity.
There's a
Or they'll come up
limitation on
for-
how long they can be
Yeah.
there.
Are there kids do?
I don't know, we're just getting more and more.
It is unlawful for any person to park or store a commercial vehicle in any residential zone property in such a manner that any part of the vehicle shall be closer to the street than the front building line of said lot.
Okay, the front building line, what about the side building line?
As long as it's behind the front of, or behind the front of the house.
So if it's in the front yard, and it's within how many feet of the building line?
Standard building lines.
It's, no,
Some is
25 feet.
it's wherever the front of the house is. That determines the building line
Basically,
at
the
that point in
right of
time.
way
Once the
plus
house is
25
built,
feet.
that wherever the front of the house is the building line.
No, I understand that. I'm talking about the RV next to the next door property.
Well, it
mean,
would
can
be
it
on
be
the
right up
property it's
against-
on, not the next door properties. So if the house next door is further closer, it wouldn't, you gotta go with the house that the property's on.
I guess I'm asking, here's a house,
Yeah.
here's a house. The RV's right on this house's line, or right on the fence. How far away does the RV have to be away from his neighbor's house,
Side yard.
side yard?
There's none, no it has to be on his property. So if he can park it on his property.
Hey, does it have to be in a driveway, or can it just be sitting on grass?
I think if it doesn't say, so if it's in the side yard, it's covered either way.
All right, but it's 25 feet from the building line to the house, right? So if it's closer than 25 foot from the street,
Typically,
then
I can't
it
say
needs
for
to be
every
in the
property.
backyard.
It's a building, there's usually a
Some
25-foot building
subdivisions have
setback line.
different front yard setbacks.
Right.
So if it's an older section, but if it's Lakewood, it's probably at least a 30. So if the RV sets 30 feet anywhere closer to the curb than 30 feet, he's over the line.
He's over the line.
Steve, if it's in Lakewood, you might want to get the restricted covenants. and
It
see
is,
if
it's against that. The problem is there's just no enforcement.
Well,
And
the
so
only way you can force it is you
Lakewood-
take them to
But
court.
Lakewood looks at, the city to come in and enforce it, and,
See them do that.
we don't. But I'm just asking if the city has a regulation is where I'm going to,
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter if, in my opinion, if the improvement district, we're just getting more and more around, and it's just, they look horrible.
Property
And,
owners-
and they, it's not that they look horrible, but they put a gray tarp on them or a blue tarp on them because they don't, are they,
They don't want the tree sap to get on their property.
yeah, are the tree sap, are they're 200 years old.
Need to
you
get a camo tarp as well.
So anyway, let me ask you this, and thanks for waiting for me, y'all, so y'all have to wait for me now, but, is it the planning commission, can we come up with different rules on that?
Yes, and we would present it to city council and they would either approve them or not.
So you could help me personally come up with the rules and then we could bring it here?
Yeah.
And then everybody would agree because they like me, so.
Maybe.
Remember, it's public comment.
John, are we pretty much due another review of our ordinance or
The zoning ordinance, we're getting close, yes.
So it's better to kind of do it in a cluster, you know, instead
but
of
we can-
attacking one general issue.
Work on something, yeah.
Okay.
If
we
you're
could
asking,
cross
we can do
road.
that. Okay.
And the other thing is, which I did bring up, automobiles parking on the grass in their front yard.
That's covered by a district that's not in the zoning book, so that neighborhood adopts a district to
Okay.
enforce those rules.
So people, if I've got my front yard, I can park 10 cars in my front yard.
If you're not in the district.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, because the district can't enforce it anyway. So, okay. So I'd like to approach that too.
Okay.
Well, the historic district, for example, has a no parking in the front yard that's not on pavement, and we call the police and they enforce it
Right.
because it's our law.
Well, some years ago, wasn't there an ordinance produced by Alderman Witcher that you couldn't have more than 2 cars in your front yard?
I think that failed, but then they adopted a parking district ordinance. So if a group of neighbors want to create a district, they can
Okay.
create a district.
Got it, yeah.
But it failed when he tried to do it citywide. It failed.
But Mr. Chambers brought up that, so if Lakewood had that, the City of North Rock Police Department would enforce that?
Correct.
Okay, all right, that's what I need to know. Thank y'all for y'all's time.
Any other comments?
Move for adjournment.
Motion made and seconded. We adjourn. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.